Welcome into the College Basketball Bracket Science Podcast, your encyclopedia for the college basketball season. We have an interesting show to get to today. We're going to be talking a lot of mid-major ball going on today. So the layout of the show, as you can see on the graphic here, we're going to go through the weekend recap. We got one game to talk about Thursday, one game to talk about Friday, and then we will dive into the Saturday games, why this changed some of the seed lines, where you might expect to see your team come selection Sunday. We'll talk about all of that. Now, if you're a regular here, you know we talk a lot about bracketology and we release our full seed list. We will not be doing that today. This is Sunday. It is exactly 7 o'clock right now. So there's still some action going on, but that's not the reason behind this. The reason is we are going to do it on Monday. It is going to be our fan mail bracketology. A bunch of you asked great questions on our Instagram poll about, that's what we asked for in terms of bracketology. So we're going to dive into that tomorrow at 11 a.m. That will be our bracketology breakdown and that fan mail bracketology. So today we're going to spend most of the time talking about the mid-major conference brackets that have been released. You can see it on this graphic. The ASUN, Patriots, Sunbelt, Horizon, OVC, Summit, NEC, and Big South are the ones we're going to talk about today. Some other mid-majors have also come out with their brackets, but these are the games that are starting, in fact, right now from Sunday into Wednesday. And then when we podcast again on Thursday, we will talk about the other mid-majors. And then on Sunday or Monday, we'll talk about the power conferences once that regular season ends. So we will also talk about some of the important power conference games that are going to go on this week. So recap, mid-major breakdowns, and then the week preview. So let's dive right into it. Let's go back to Thursday just real quick and talk about some of the games that went down. Rutgers lost at number 15 Michigan thanks to a Namari Burnett last second three for Michigan to give them the win. Michigan just keeps escaping. We'll talk about them here again in a second because they did not escape yet again or in this most recent affair that they had. So Michigan wins at Rutgers or at home against Rutgers, Just going down the list, there's nothing else real important. Towson beat William and Mary to secure the CAA regular season title. Good for Towson. Chattanooga won at UNC Greensboro to secure the SoCon title, and Liberty won at home against Jacksonville State to become tied atop Conference USA. So moving on into Friday's matchups were also a little bit weaker than we've had in the past, but UCLA lost at number 20 Purdue. Purdue breaks their 4-game winning streak. In that one, the only other real notable ones was VCU beat up on Davidson. Akron beat up on Kent State late. It was a close game. Kent State actually led for a while. Akron ended up fighting back. And then James Madison loses at Texas State, 93-102 in 2 overtime. So this really changes things atop of the Sun Belt Conference. So we'll talk about them here in a little bit with their bracket breakdown. I still think James Madison ended up as the number 1 seed, so maybe not as much as you think. But let's dive into Saturday's results. Saturday was the big day. Number 1, Auburn went to number 17 Kentucky and gave them a beatdown, 94-78. Auburn did not get good stuff from Johni Broome in this one. It was probably his worst game of the year. But thank goodness for Miles Kelly. Miles Kelly drops 30 on Kentucky. Auburn continues to be the best team in the country right now. Number 3, Florida had no problems with number 12, Texas A&M, 89-70, kind of a blowout there. Florida gets the job done. Number 4, Houston beats Cincinnati, 73-64. Cincinnati's at-large hopes pretty much down the drain with this one. Number 6, Alabama, and number 5, Tennessee in the game of the day. Jemiah Mashack, a last-second 3 to give Tennessee a 79-76 victory. Number 22, Arizona went to number 9, Iowa State. Iowa State gets them fairly easily in this one, 84-65. Number 10, Texas Tech went to Kansas and picked up a victory, 78-73. Kansas can't even win at home against Texas Tech, who was unranked in the preseason. Texas Tech, a much better basketball team than Kansas. Number 14, Missouri loses at Vanderbilt, 97-93. Vanderbilt's going to be in the tournament. This pretty much all but locks them getting in. This game was in overtime, 97-93, as mentioned. And then Maryland holds off Penn State at Penn State, 68-64. So let's talk about what this means for some potential seed line implication on this first row that you're seeing on the graphic. Auburn, your number 1 overall seed, no doubt about it. Kentucky is in a battle for the last 3 seed as of right now. They are fringe 3-4 seed after this loss. They're a 3 seed coming in. I still have them as a 3 seed right now. A little hint into tomorrow's show. Texas A&M really starting to fall off. what was keeping them in it was, their predictives weren't awesome, but their strength of resume or strength of record and wins against bubble were great. Those have faded quite a bit in these last couple 3-game losing streak. So Texas A&M now down to a 4 seed. Remember, they were a 2 seed in the initial bracket revealed by the committee, now down to falling down to a 4 seed. Houston is solidified as a 1 seed now. Yes, they are all the way up to a 1 seed. Who would have thought that Auburn-Houston game at the beginning of the year might have been played between two of the – Auburn's played – they've played Florida, Duke, and Houston, who I think – and Alabama, and they're going to play Tennessee. They've played just about every single team that is in competition for a 1 seed, so just even more so how awesome that Auburn team's been. Alabama and Tennessee are very close for the last number 1 seed. It's about as close to a coin flip as you get. We won't spoil it. We'll talk about it on the next show. These 2 teams will be fighting the rest of the year for that last 1 seed, first 2 seed sort of scenario. Iowa State is solidified as a 3 seed right now. I think they're better than a 3 seed, but their resume has them as a 3 seed. Arizona kind of solidified on the 4 line. Texas Tech moves back up into 3-4 seed range. They've been around that all season, but just another great quad 1 win here. Missouri's hanging on that 5 line, and Vanderbilt's fighting on. I'm very confident they're going to be in an 8-9 game come March. Maryland right on the 5 line with Missouri. They kind of just scream 5 seed to me. Penn State's out of it. So let's move on to the next row. Pitt went to number 19, Louisville. Louisville had no troubles, 79-68. Louisville right there on about the 6-7 line. So expect to see them, Pat Kelsey and Louisville back in the tournament, probably 6 or 7 seed. St. Mary's had a little bit of problems with Oregon State, but ended up getting the job done 74-64. St. Mary's also on probably the 5 line right now, could be a 5-6 seed. They are a 5 seed every single year, it seems. And they're probably going to be there yet again this year. Yet I do fully believe that this team is built a little bit differently than the last couple teams. This team has the capabilities to make a run in March. West Virginia, who's probably going to be 9 or 10 seed, loses at number 25 BYU. BYU's a lock. BYU will be in the NCAA tournament. They're the hottest team in the country right now. They win 77-56 in just blowout fashion. Gonzaga picks up the win that they need, a quad 1 win at San Francisco, 95-75, just domination. Gonzaga now a lock to be in the tournament, looking at probably an 8 or 9 seed with one of the more interesting resumes in the country because the predictives love them. If you were to match up 8 or 9 seeded Gonzaga with, say, let's pick a random team, probably 6 or 7 seeded Kansas, Gonzaga would be favored heavily in that one. So yeah, that's the rough part about being in the WCC, not being able to pick up those huge quad 1 wins to get you highly ranked in instances of seasons like this. Even last year they ran into it, but then got blazing hot. So it's going to be tough for the team that has to face Gonzaga in that first and second round if they win a game. Georgia goes to Texas and wins 83-67 in a double bubble game. Georgia now comfortably in after these last 2 wins over Florida, now going to Texas, 2 huge wins. They're comfortably in. They're a bye team. They're not even a first 4 team. Texas is about 6 to 8 teams out right now. Texas has no heart. You can't come out. They got blown out from the get-go. Absolutely no heart shown in this game. Rodney Terry is on the outside looking in, as is his team. Rodney Terry does not seem like things are leaning towards him being the head coach next year, and as it should be. This was the last straw pretty much. Creighton goes to Xavier. Xavier picks up the win that they need. I got a lot of questions about Xavier, not in the fan mail bracketology that we'll talk tomorrow, but just previously, prior to that, on some comments asking if they win this game, will they get in? I didn't think so. I think I was wrong. I think they might be in the tournament as of right now. You're looking at last team in / first team out. So not really in that comfort zone yet. They only have 1 quad 1 win. This was not a quad 1 win. This was a quad 2 win, but it's still a good win, a 22-point win to boost those computer predictives a little bit. It's going to be close. Xavier does not want to see any bid stealers come March. Utah State went to Colorado State and got blitzed. And I mean blitzed 93-66. Colorado State's really come on as of late. Every time I watch Colorado State, I must just catch them on a rough night. They don't look like a phenomenal basketball team to me, but when you beat Utah State by 27 badly, good stuff. That might be a potential bid stealer come March. USC, talk about another team with not very much heart, it seems. Loses at Oregon 82-61. USC actually led early, and then it's just a better coached, better basketball team that cares more. Oregon just drills them. The most, just devastating loss for a team was Nebraska losing at home to Minnesota. Shout out to Minnesota. Minnesota, Ben Johnson, this program is so hard to win at, and they are not an awful basketball team. I think they're going to be in the Big Ten tournament. Things still need to be solidified there, but Minnesota, how about that? Good stuff there. Arkansas, another just detrimental loss. They lose at South Carolina 72-53. They scored 14 points in the first half. If you're looking to impress the committee, you cannot score 14 points in the first half. So Nebraska loses at home. They're now on the outside looking in, as is Arkansas after this loss at South Carolina on the outside looking in. Oklahoma, man, they need a victory here bad, but they don't get it at Ole Miss, 87-84. Ole Miss is a fringe 6-ish, 7 seed right now. Oklahoma is one of those teams that really might go 5-13 in the SEC and make the NCAA tournament. There's a real chance. Now, with bid stealers, it's unlikely. If there's no bid stealers, I still think Oklahoma is a last team in / first team out sort of team right now. They were 13-0 in the non-con. They beat Arizona. They beat, Louisville. They beat a lot of good teams. They won the Battle for Atlantis. So that's on the team sheet metric. What isn't on the team sheet metric is the conference record, but it's definitely hurting their overall case right now with predictives and just overall strength of record, wins against bubble. SMU loses at Stanford. SMU is now as close to eliminated as you can be, 73-68. Better coach basketball team is Stanford with Kyle Smith. I continue to praise Kyle Smith. He's going to win at Stanford. He's going to win an NCAA tournament game. Give him time. He's going to get their great coach. SMU does not belong anywhere near the field. Please get them out of the field. This team would get killed. Enough talking about SMU. Indiana does pick up a good win at Washington. Controlled the entire way. Washington is not good, but that's a tough trip way across the country in a game that you need to win. They got it done, 78-62. George Mason loses at Duquesne, which you just cannot do. Good for Coach Drew Joyce over at Duquesne, 85-68. George Mason's hopes are they're fairly slim now. And then Oklahoma State loses at Baylor, 71-61. Oklahoma State got off to a blazing hot start in this game, and Baylor Twitter was going off because Baylor loses this game. They might be on the outside looking in, but they don't. They end up winning the game, 71-61. Then UCF loses at TCU, 89-78, pretty much eliminating UCF from any at-large consideration. Now on Sunday, what just went down today? Let's just talk about a couple of these results. Number 8, Michigan State took down number 11, Wisconsin, 71-62. Michigan State's the best team in the Big Ten. They really are. I did not think that was going to be the case at the beginning of the year. They're the best team in the Big Ten, especially when Illinois goes to number 15, Michigan, and dominates 93-73. Michigan is they're the most fraudulent team that's ranked in the top 20, in my opinion. This team can lose to anyone. I do believe they can beat anyone. This team can also lose to anyone. And the other just real notable result, number 18, Memphis wins at UAB. UAB led most of the game, and then Memphis just went on a tear at the end, 88-81. So just some key results for teams. Michigan State solidified on that 2 line. Wisconsin is hanging on to it's fringe 2 or 3 seed basically for the past couple of weeks. Illinois and Michigan, you're probably going to see in the 5 to 7, 8 range. Michigan's a little better off than Illinois has been, but great win here. And then Memphis, you'll probably see them as a 6 or 7 seed. So that is going to be it for the results. Now let's dive into these mid-major conference tournaments. These are going to be in just completely random order, so I do apologize for that. But let's start with the ASUN that starts on that is starting actually right now. We have Austin Peay taking on North Florida. North Florida was that mid-major darling earlier in the year. Remember, they beat South Carolina at South Carolina to start the season. They have not been the same team. They picked up another good win. I can't remember who it was against, but since then have not been the same team. So they take on Austin Peay, and Central Arkansas takes on Stetson. So let's just break this down a little bit. Your top seed is Lipscomb. Your second seed is North Alabama. These two teams did tie in the conference, but Lipscomb does have the tiebreaker. Lipscomb is the best team in the conference. They're the best program in the conference. Something about North Alabama, just a little bit feisty North Alabama shows some heart on a neutral site. That would be a really close game. Jacksonville and Eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky been playing some good ball as of late as well. Florida Gulf Coast and Queens. Expect Florida Gulf Coast to win in that one. Florida Gulf Coast was horrible last year, except they beat Florida Atlantic, that Florida Atlantic team that ended up making the they made the Final Four the year before that and then ended up making the tournament as an at-large last year. So Florida Gulf Coast has really improved this year as the 3 seed in this. I expect to see a little bit of chalk in this one. I'll take Eastern Kentucky to take down Jacksonville. I know a lot of people like Jacksonville, and they're a solid team, but I do think everything kind of points towards a Lipscomb North Alabama final. I hope that's what it is. In conference tournaments, I tend to root for, the best teams, the teams that have been the best all year. I don't want to see a Austin Peay in the finals. Like, would it be a cool story? Yeah, but I want to see the 2 best teams that have proven themselves. Lipscomb and North Alabama are these 2 teams. You can see the dates up there. I won't go over all those, but if you're looking for a huge, sleeper that could make a run, I guess I would probably go with North Florida. Now, by the time you hear this, North Florida might have already lost. So, give me North Alabama to take down Lipscomb in the championship game, just going off of pure gut feeling there and prediction. Lipscomb, they're the best team, but give me North Alabama. Next up, let's move on to the Patriot League. This one starts on Tuesday, March 4th. They do have a playing game between Loyola Maryland and Lehigh. Yikes, ugly game. Lafayette, Holy Cross, yikes, ugly game. The winner of this conference is basically playing for a play-in game, solidified. Colgate has absolutely dominated the Patriot League. I think they've won the last 4 years. Bucknell is the 1 seed, though, and American is the 2 seed. In my opinion, I think American's the best team in this conference. I think they're the best team in this conference, and they're probably like mid 200s at KenPom. So that's just kind of what the Patriot League is. But I think American is going to end up winning this. It's a huge advantage to be the 1 seed in this scenario because, as we mentioned, Colgate's been the powerhouse. You don't want to face Colgate in this conference tournament. American will have to get through Colgate. Bucknell will not. I lean all things American. I think American's going to end up getting the job done. This Colgate team is they're just not very good. But this is always a fun bracket to follow. As mentioned, the winner of this bracket will be a play-in game, 16 seed, 99%. All right, let's move on to the Sun Belt with the most interesting laid out bracket you will ever find. And I love it. Give the teams that have proven to be the best teams in the regular season, give them a far by. You want, your top end teams to represent you in March Madness and have a chance to win. I like how this goes. It's the most interesting looking bracket. So, for example, Coastal Carolina will have to win 7 games in 7 days to win the Sun Belt Conference. But a team like South Alabama, who is the 1 seed, only has to win 2 games. So that James Madison loss that we mentioned earlier to Texas State did end up being a little bit. It moved them from the 1 seed to the 2 seed, but they still do get that far by. So kind of set up a little bit like the WCC bracket, as we've seen so much with St. Mary's and Gonzaga getting these later rounds, because you want to see your best teams. So teams to know in this one. Texas State just picked up that good win against James Madison. So, I mean, these first 4 games are pretty ugly. I would not recommend taking any of these teams to win. The 1 through 4 seeds are the teams to know. I do believe it will definitely be one of these top seeds. App State is also a good program, well-coached team, but I do think it's these top 4 seeds. Arkansas State is the 4 seed. They won at Memphis earlier in the year. I believe Arkansas State's the best team in this conference. All these top 4 teams, South Alabama, James Madison, Troy, Arkansas State, all tied for first in the conference. It's just all tiebreakers. South Alabama's 1, James Madison 2, Troy 3, Arkansas State 4. The top half to me is better. I think your best 2 teams are Arkansas State and South Alabama. James Madison, I would put 3rd and Troy 4th. I think it's going to be the winner of the Arkansas State-South Alabama game. I'll lean Arkansas State. They'll have an extra game going into that to build a little bit of momentum. I think Arkansas State will take down South Alabama, and I think Arkansas State is just the best team in this conference. Give me Arkansas State over James Madison in the final. I think Arkansas State will end up getting the job done in that one. All right, let's move on to the next mid-major. Love talking mid-major ball. The Horizon League. The Horizon League been a fun one to follow. So this is a reseeded bracket, as you can see on here. Let's talk about some of the teams to know. The 1 seed is Robert Morris. Robert Morris has been on an absolute heater as of late. The 2 seed is Cleveland State. 3 seed is Milwaukee. 4 seed is Youngstown State. Put these in coin flip of any order. Any single team could win this. Oakland has the experience with Coach Greg Kampe there. Obviously, they had a great year last year. Wright State's been playing better as of late. Northern Kentucky's been playing better as of late. IU, Indy, Detroit Mercy, and Green Bay, obviously with Doug Gottlieb, they don't really stand a chance. But so the winner of these games, it will get reseeded going into this. So those top 4, this is probably the hardest one to pick. If you're going to bet, maybe just bet whichever one has the best, best bang for your buck, I guess. Youngstown State, they've got some really, really athletic guards. Milwaukee was my preseason pick to win the Horizon League. And then I ended up switching to Cleveland State. I ended up hedging that bet of Milwaukee with Cleveland State. Both are doing all right. And of course, neither of them won because it ended up being Robert Morris to win the preseason. But still 2 really good teams, 2 fun teams. Cleveland State's been falling off a little bit as of late. Give me Milwaukee and Robert Morris in the final, and Milwaukee to win the conference in this one. I still think I'm just going to kind of go with my preseason prediction. This team's got a lot of they've got a lot of shooters. This team could get the job done. All right, let's take a quick break here, and then we're going to dive into the rest of these these mid majors that are going to start off play here soon. We'll be right back. All righty, we are back. Let's dive into it. Let's keep going through this. Let's go on to the OVC. So another, double bye scenario here. SEMO is your first ranked team, and SIUE is your second ranked team. Little Rock, your fourth ranked team, and Tennessee State on the bottom there as your third ranked team. I would not really buy into Tennessee State, quite frankly. If they make a run, they make a run. Morehead State has been a proven program, yet with a new coach. Can they make the run here? I think it's going to be SEMO. I think SEMO, Southeastern Missouri State, has been your best team, in my opinion, all year. I think they're going to get the job done here. I will say the winner of the SEMO Little Rock game, who was my preseason pick, I think will end up taking this. I don't think I see SIUE doing it, but they really could. These teams also probably playing for a 16 seed, depending on, there's crazier things that could happen, but probably playing for a 16 seed. But give me the winner of SEMO and Little Rock in this one. I don't see Tennessee Tech or, you know what, UT Martin, a little bit better than you might think. Watch out for UT Martin. If you're looking for a flyer, they could make a run. Them or Morehead State. Don't see Lindenwood or Tennessee Tech, but I do think it's going to come out of that top region between SEMO, Little Rock, and hey, maybe throw UT Martin in the mix a little bit there. But that's the OVC. Moving on to the NEC with the best looking graphic here. All these graphics are just courtesy of their website, by the way. They make it nice and easy. Central Connecticut State is your 1 seed, Lemoyne your 8 seed. So no buy, no advantage. There's only 8 teams that make it. Fairleigh Dickinson as your 4 seed. I don't even know who that is as the 5 seed. I feel like that's something that I should know. I'm not quite sure who that is. SFU as your 3 seed taking on Wagner, who is the 16 seed, which is crazy. 2-seeded LIU taking on 7-seeded Chicago State. Give me FDU to beat whatever. I don't even know. Why do I not know who that is? Anyways, moving on. It better be Central Connecticut State. Central Connecticut State is so much better than anyone else in this conference. Like almost 2 times better at KenPom. They're in the hundreds, 150 range. Next best is like 290, 280. Wagner is the team that has the experience, yet this team is just awful this year. For anyone who has watched Wagner games, this team cannot score the ball whatsoever. Give me Central Connecticut State. Please, Central Connecticut State, get in. They could be a 15 seed. This team is really good. They are worlds above every single one else in this tournament. So give me Central Connecticut State to get the job done in that one. Moving on to the Big South. The Big South, always a fun one here. I am praying so hard that High Point gets the job done in this one. Presbyterian been playing good ball as of late. Also like Presbyterian, Longwood, they made it last year. It's got to be High Point. High Point is the best. They're one of my favorite mid-majors all year because they were unhealthy to start the year. Kind of fell off the radar a little bit because everyone loved them in the preseason. This team has been scoring the ball like no other as of late. They are finally getting healthy. If High Point gets in the tournament and gets a 12 seed, Do not be surprised if they win a game or two in March Madness. I am hoping that High Point gets the job done in this one. Let's move on to the Summit League, one of the most fun tournaments to watch. So Omaha gets the overall number 1 seed. How about Omaha? Omaha loses Frankie Fiddler to Michigan State, and Omaha, they win the conference outright. How about Omaha? Good for them. 2-seeded is St. Thomas. St. Thomas is such a good basketball program. I'm really excited for this team's future. They are still ineligible, which is the dumbest rule by the NCAA. They cannot get into March Madness because they came up from the Division II ranks. Other teams to know, South Dakota State, obviously they've kind of been the powerhouse in this conference. They're your 3 seed. 4 seed is North Dakota State. So they obviously they kind of took the world by storm with that Alabama game that they hosted. They can really shoot the 3. However, their record is not, after that Alabama game where they really, they kept it close with Alabama. They had an electric student section. They're like, yeah, North Dakota State's going to win the Summit. I don't think they're going to win it. I do still kind of lean South Dakota State, but the thing is South Dakota State has to go through St. Thomas, who I think might be the best team in this conference. So if St. Thomas makes the championship game, I believe that, or if St. Thomas wins the championship, I believe Omaha would get the automatic bid because it's the highest ranked team and it's the regular season winner. I believe it would be Omaha, not who they play in the championship, which is what I thought it was, but I heard that is not true. So it would be Omaha. So St. Thomas, South Dakota State, I'll take the winner up there. Omaha's great. I just don't think they can compete with South Dakota State or a St. Thomas on a neutral floor. I mean, they can, but I will take them in this scenario. So those are all the brackets to know. I didn't want to dive too deep on some of the teams that I'm sure you just don't really care about. Just label some of the top dogs that you might expect to see as a 15 or 16 seed in March Madness for some of these conferences. If South Dakota State wins the Summit, I should mention, they'll probably be a 14 or 15. North Dakota State probably a 15. Omaha would probably be a 16. They might jump to a 15 depending on what happens. But so that just kind of shows they're a little lower ranked by some of the predictive metrics. But always a fun tournament. Elsewhere around the nation, there are some other good games going on. Just a few on Monday. It is the last big Monday of the season, last regular season for the Power Conference. Wake Forest goes to number 2 Duke. This game's at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Wake Forest has to win this game probably to get into the tournament. I think they're probably going to get beat by maybe 70 in this game. Now, that's an exaggeration, but this team has no chance against Duke. I will say that if they go and win there, I might quit watching basketball in general because I would obviously have no clue what I'm talking about. This Wake team just doesn't do it for me or pretty much anyone, it seems, on Twitter. That's at 7 o'clock on ESPN. At 9 o'clock on ESPN, Kansas taking on number 4 Houston. We thought earlier in the year this might be like, a top 5 matchup late in the year. Kansas unranked and even further unranked after losing at home to Texas Tech. Going to number 4 Houston. Houston is better. Houston got them at Kansas and kind of a send the season down the drain victory is what Houston did to Kansas. But I expect Houston to kind of have no difficulties there. There are a lot of problems going on and that Lawrence, Kansas lineup. Moving on to Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Baylor goes to TCU. Baylor kind of hanging on. They're not a lock to get in. They're probably going to get in, but they're not a lock. Watch out for that one. 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus, at 8 o'clock on the SEC Network. Texas has to win this game for any chance of an at-large, in my opinion. At number 24, Mississippi State, who's lost a few lately, but still in good shape, looking at about a 6 or 7 seed there. At 9 o'clock on FS1, Indiana goes to Oregon. If Indiana were to win this game, I think you're looking at not a lock, but probably they're 99% chance of getting in. If Indiana can go and win this game, they're playing great as of late. Ever since they announced Mike Woodson was out of there, kind of rallying behind their guy. They've got a good thing going there. Oregon also been playing some good ball as of late, on that 5-6 fringe line. The bubbliest game of them all, 9 o'clock on Peacock. Nebraska, who I will just give the hint to right now, I have them outside the tournament. 2 teams out right now. And I think I have Ohio State as 2 teams in the tournament right now. So this is about as bubbly as it gets. It's at Ohio State, 9 o'clock on Peacock. This should be a fun one. Winner, you're probably in. Loser, got a lot of work to do. At 9 o'clock on ESPN, the hottest team in the country, number 25 BYU, goes to Iowa State in one of the toughest environments to play in there at Hilton Coliseum. Iowa State coming off that great win against Arizona. BYU's been beating everyone badly as of late. That should be a fun game. At 9 o'clock, also on ESPN on this graphic, something ain't right there. I think this game might be on the SEC network. Number 1, Auburn goes to number 12, Texas A&M. These graphics are courtesy of CBS Sports Network, by the way, or the CBS Sports app, as I probably should say. Number 1, Auburn at number 12, Texas A&M. Expect A&M to drop when the AP poll releases because they just lost to Vanderbilt at home, and then they lost to at Texas, so they'll drop a little bit. Auburn will be number 1, as they should be. They're awesome. That'll be a fun one on ESPN. Can Texas A&M rebound? They're falling a little bit. This kind of screams, 4 seed versus 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. At 10 o'clock on the SEC network, Arkansas has got to get one. Vanderbilt's probably in. They host Arkansas. Arkansas needs this more than Vanderbilt does. Can they go out and get it? We'll see. And then at 11 o'clock on ESPN2, rivalry game, Arizona State goes to number 22. Arizona, remember how chirpy that one got? Bobby Hurley just called his players off the court at the end of the game. Expect Arizona to kind of beat down on this very injured Bobby Hurley Arizona State team as of right now. Now let's just move on to Wednesday. We're not going to talk about Thursday or Friday's games because we are going to podcast again on Thursday. Excuse me, on Thursday the WCC tournament starts, as does the Missouri Valley Conference. Where the first round isn't anything special. We're going to podcast later that night, so we'll talk about those at that day. Other power conference stuff there's nothing on Thursday, but on Wednesday at 6:30 on the Big Ten Network, number 16 Maryland goes to number 15 Michigan. Michigan will be dropping definitely. I think Maryland's going to go there and beat them. I think Maryland's better. I think Michigan's kind of proven fraudulent as of late. Give me Maryland in that one. At 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, Xavier, you got to win it. You have to go win this game at Butler. You cannot afford to lose this game. 7 o'clock CBS Sports Network, Sean Miller's team looking to they got a good chance. They got a good chance. It's about 50-50 right now. It's really close. At 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus, this game, just kind of threw it on there. Kansas State at Cincinnati, 2 teams that have been playing good. If you enjoy basketball, go watch it. 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Watch this game instead, though. Number 3 Florida goes to number 6 Alabama. Battle to 100 we might see. Both teams can really score the ball. Walter Clayton Jr. versus Mark Sears. Mark Sears been playing as good as anyone in the country as of late. This is an awesome matchup. Feels like a Final Four game. 7 o'clock ESPN2. At 8 o'clock on the SEC Network, number 14 Missouri, who will be dropping a little bit, goes to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, you probably got to win this game, quite frankly. If you lose this game, I think they're going to be out. I don't think that you can really get past it. But I've said that quite a bit about these Oklahoma games, but they're all quad 1 games, so they lose, and then it's like you can't move them too far down once the numbers refresh. They still look fine. I don't know. Porter Mosier's squad's got to get a victory in that one. At 8:30 on the Big Ten Network, number 11 Wisconsin goes to Minnesota. Minnesota playing some good ball as of late. Wisconsin looking to rebound after that loss to Michigan State. That should be a fun one. At 8:30 on FS1, number 21 Marquette travels to UConn. Haven't talked a lot about UConn lately. They're a lock. They're going to be in the tournament probably as a 7 to 9 seed. Marquette really been fizzling as of late. I think UConn might win this game, but Cam Jones will be the best player on the floor. At 9 o'clock on ESPN2, number 5 Tennessee, who should be climbing the polls a little bit here. Actually, will they? Will they? Because all they got ahead of them is Houston, Florida, Duke, and Auburn. So you win at number 6 Alabama, you might not even move up in the poll. That is crazy. But at 9 o'clock on ESPN2, number 5 Tennessee at Ole Miss. Ole Miss kind of fallen off a little bit as of late. They did just beat Oklahoma. They're going to be in the tournament, kind of looking to regain some of that momentum there. That is going to do it for the entire show today. A little bit of a quick one here because we didn't talk too much about bracketology. Reminder to come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about this at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. We are going to talk about all of the seed line changes, all of the bubble watch. We're going to talk about everything. I'll answer all your questions. So be sure to come back for that. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really, really helps us out on Instagram or on YouTube. And be sure to follow our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Bracket Science with 2 S's. Anything you can do there, comment, like, give us a follow. It really, really does help us out. And we've built a nice little community going on over there. Love talking to everyone. That's going to do it. Everyone enjoy this, opening night of conference tournaments. Austin Peay, North Florida, nothing better than that. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. See you then.